Hi muckers, and welcome back to the second video I am posting today. If you watched the first one, it was about Emma Chamberlain, and I'm super interested in the conversation that is happening in the comments with that one. So if you haven't watched that one, I would really go and watch that one. But this one is going to be about Nikita Dragun, who we haven't talked about or heard from in quite some time. But I just want to say thank you for watching this. I appreciate you spending even a little portion of your day here. Now, okay, this video is going to be about Nikita Dragun's response, putting my asterisk in the wrong place there. For the first time in 10 months, we haven't heard from Nikita Dragun in quite some time. And the last video that she had posted was 10 months ago, where she did a makeup tutorial. And then this one was posted 4 days ago. It's called What Happened, and it is 10 minutes long. And now, if you're clicking on this video thinking that this is going to be like a dragging, making fun of Nikita Dragun, this is not the video for you. I do not particularly like Nikita Dragun, and the reason for that is so broad. I think that there are so many issues when it comes to Nikita Dragun that are important to focus on, and she definitely has found a way to capitalize off of pissing people off and pissing different cultures off, and I don't think it's funny. I don't think it is something that entertaining it should be profiting her in any way. I think it's disgusting, and I think that she does it for monetary gain, and I think that that is a horrible thing to do. And my opinions on Nikita Dragun, from that to the partying during the pandemic, to just, there's so many things, just relentless drama, that my opinions on Nikita Dragun are not great. However, she came out with this video, and in it she opens up about the fact that she was hospitalized and that she was diagnosed with bipolar. Now, I wasn't going to film a video on this because I was like, you know what, people can watch her video and that's that. However, I do want to go through her video because I was reading an overwhelming amount of people that were making fun of this diagnosis generally. And because Nikita Dragun now has it, and they were like, oh, well, that makes sense. And then they were saying a lot of really patronizing, really disgusting things about being diagnosed with what she has been now and mental health struggles. And I'm like, there is enough to come at Nikita Dragun for, that we don't need to come for her mental health struggles and health struggles. And I do just want to go through this video, and I do think it is a good video, and it's an incredibly vulnerable video. But again, I do just want to go into this video saying that I don't have, you know, a stick up my ass for Nikita. I do not particularly like Nikita, and I just couldn't not say anything about this video because I was reading so many overwhelming threads that were just making fun of this. And I'm like, do you realize that whenever you're making fun of Nikita for this, you're not just like being shady and making fun of Nikita for having this mental health diagnosis. You are indirectly affecting people who are probably reading what you're saying and have the exact same thing as Nikita, diagnosed or undiagnosed, to be diagnosed, or it has already been. And I'm like, that is incredibly harmful. And I did just want to go through this video because, with all that being said, I wanted to, on my channel, have a conversation about speaking up about mental health and speaking up about your struggles. It is always accepted, and I think that whenever someone does that and is incredibly vulnerable, I respect them tons for it. Again, me saying that doesn't mean I respect Nikita Dragun, but all I'm saying is I respect this video, and this is giving an insight to where she has been. I know that there has been a lot of comments from people saying that, where's Nikita been, Adam? We haven't heard from her in so long. Last time she was involved in this drama and this drama. And the last video I think I made from her, she talked about like running away from home or something like that. And this video touches upon that a little bit more. So I'm going to pull it up here and we're going to talk about it. So here we go. I have 20% on my iPad, so it is a race against the clock. But here we go. This video is called What Happened, and it was posted a few days ago, and let's get into it. So this is on Nikita Dragun's channel. I'm watching this for fair use commentary purposes. Do not come for me, Nikita, or your team. And let's go through it. So here we go. This is what happened to Nikita Dragun and why she has been radio silent on social media for months now. Okay, here we go.
I don't really know how to start a video like this. I've never talked about anything like this before, and really part of me just feels a little embarrassed, ashamed, and just a little scared to open up about a topic like this. These past couple of months have been some of the hardest months I've ever experienced in my entire life, and it's been almost debilitating because it feels like I haven't been able to talk about this with anyone. It just reminds me of why I started this YouTube channel and why I started on social media, because I didn't really have a lot of people to talk to. So today I wanted to open up and talk about what's been going on. You know, I've always said that YouTube is my diary, and I've shared every part of my life. And for some reason, this is one of the hardest things for me to talk about. In some ways, I feel guilty for feeling this way. Today, I would like to share that I am bipolar, and it feels really great to say that. You know, I actually thought when I transitioned that that would be it, that I would just transition from a boy to a girl and all my dreams and all my fantasies would be completed and I wouldn't really have to deal with anything else and I'd just get to live my life. About 6 months ago, I had my first...
One thing I do want to say going into this video, that opening is exactly why people subscribe to Nikita Dragun. And I hope that she sees that through the response on her comment section. I'm not talking about anywhere else because everywhere else is kind of toxic about this, but in her comment section, people are like, this is what we subscribed for. The way you're saying that YouTube was your diary and you came on here to talk, like, that's the Nikita that we care about. Like, we didn't subscribe for Nikita who was going out and partying all this time, and Nikita who was, you know, evading, you know, guidelines by the government, and Nikita that has been appropriating different cultures for the sake of pissing people off and tweeting, what race am I gonna be today? Like, all of this stuff, that is not what people subscribe to. People subscribe to the genuine girl on YouTube that was so vulnerable. And I'm not saying you have to be vulnerable to have success on YouTube, but what I'm saying is people were seeing the real Nikita. And so this video is very vulnerable, it's very real, and I'm not saying that a mental health diagnosis video, but I'm saying like a video where Nikita is sitting down and just being honest, even if she wasn't saying anything like this, is exactly what I think that her career needed. Because, okay, she's been gone for so long, but before that, it's been years since her fans properly felt that they could connect to her, because she's been derailing her career in such a way of trying to piss people off. And so that is a big reason on why people are giving her hate and criticism for this. And I don't think that that's what the conversation should be at all. I think the conversation should be like how raw and vulnerable this is to talk about your mental health online, especially knowing that Nikita has basically a big chunk of the internet against her, which I just said at the start of this video. My opinions on her are not the greatest, but having a video like this, it's incredibly like valuing. So anyway, let's go on.
Manic episode and my first almost mental breakdown. I just felt a little bit lost, and I actually went back home to Virginia to try to reconnect with myself. There was just something missing in a way. In doing so, I actually like unlocked the floodgates of like childhood trauma or just all those memories that I was suppressing. This is the first time I'm really talking about this, so it's a little bit hard for me to try to like articulate. So thank you for bearing with me, because I really don't know what this one. I always love going back home to Virginia because my family and I are so close, and I feel like anytime I start losing myself or start doubting myself or start feeling weird, I can always rely on my family to help ground myself again. And this time was a really important time and different. I started to remember things that were great growing up, and I started to remember things that weren't so great that I guess tried to bury. When I went back home around Thanksgiving time, everything just started pouring out of me, and it was hard because I was just really losing touch with reality. And I think it was hard because my reality was so tough to face in a way that it just felt like my whole life and existence was like ripped out from under me. And I was going through a manic episode, and if you guys don't know what a manic episode is, it's just a whirlwind. It starts at like a 5, and then you get to a 6, and then a 7, and an 8, and a 9, and a 10, and 11, and a 12. Like it's almost like your gears in your brain are starting to turn and turn and turn. And it's almost like a car that overheats, or when the engine explodes. If you think about bipolar, sometimes people think you're happy 1 second, you're sad 1 second, you're this, you're that, like you just jump from moods to moods, but it's so much different than that. From what I've been learning, it's almost like two opposite ends, right? You are either manic or you're depressed, and somewhere in the middle is normalcy. And being bipolar, you kind of shift from one side to the other, but on really intense scales. And I just thought that I was going through it, right? I was just like, whatever, I'm just going through it. I'm just experiencing my emotions. And you know, I'm an Aquarius, I don't really show my emotions that often, and I just thought that when I went back home and I was dealing with all of these amazing things, like going to my high school again, and
one thing I do also want to state is the education that Nikita is bringing with this video is great. Explaining what this is, what this means whenever you have this, how you deal with it. I think all of this is not a positive video, but I'm saying that this video is going to have very positive outcomes for her audience and a lot of people that are watching this, and that's why I wish people would focus on that conversation rather than focusing on everything else. It's like, yeah, we can call her out for all this stuff, but we can also acknowledge the, again, don't mean to say about how vulnerable this video is and the good that this video is going to bring for a lot of people. This video could also be the factor for a lot of her audience that are like, wait, what she's describing, you know, I feel. And that could lead to a lot of that. So that's a conversation that I'm liking to have with this video that she posted. I don't know what your angle is with it, but that's my one. I just think anyone that opens up about their mental health struggles, like, I'm just all ears. Like, I'm all ears, and I'm here for the conversation to listen to them, regardless of my opinion of them.
And all these moments that were bringing back wild memories, I think that's what really triggered my manic episode. And when I started to become manic, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't rational, I just wasn't myself. And it's just so scary to think about that moment for me, because it just was like a spiraling effect. And obviously it hit so close to home because I was going through that with my family, and my family was there for me and my friends. But it caused a lot of problems. You know, when I was in a manic episode, I was doing things I don't even really want to talk about. I really fucked up. It's like so embarrassing to think about now, you know? It led to, on Thanksgiving, me walking out of the house by myself and freezing in a dress and stripper heels. There was another moment I won't get into, but like an altercation happened and I ended up in a police car. I got brought to a hospital, had to be evaluated from head to toe, and I was placed under a detaining order, which basically means you're a threat to yourself or other people. You know, I probably couldn't have said this a couple of months ago, but I am really glad that everything happened the way it did. From the hospital, I was then admitted into a behavioral health center, which is basically a psych ward. And that was a really, really tough moment for me. If it was overwhelming before, once I got that ankle monitor strapped to me and I had to shower with the doors open, and I was medicated, and I had someone watching over me at all times, like, really took me to a different place. I could sit here all day and debate whether I should have been there or not, and trust me, I've spent months going back and forth on it. Ultimately, where I am is just thanking God that it did happen, because that is where I need to be. And I learned so many valuable lessons. I was surrounded by so many people who normally I don't think I would understand. You know, I think mental health has such a stigma upon it, and whether someone's bipolar, schizophrenic, has anxiety, has depression, I met so many other patients who normally I would just call crazy, but that is the last word that I think even I wanted to hear in that moment. And it was such an eye-opening experience, because it taught me so many things that I can't even really describe in this video. The first couple of days, it was like it was out of a movie. I was trying anything and everything to get out of that place. It just felt like my whole world was crashing down. I was a prisoner in some way.
Wow, this is so much that she's like been through. Like, it's so hard to fathom that Nikita Dragun that we saw posting all these like glamour looks and going to all these parties a couple months ago, and then, you know, she just kind of disappears and we're like, oh, don't really know what she's doing, but she was posting this, like, we don't really know. To know that this is what was happening, she was stood in front of a court being mentally evaluated. She had the ankle bracelet on. She was basically evaluated every single move of her day in the hospital, where they were not allowing her any privacy because they deemed her a danger to herself. And she goes on to say that they forced her to be in front of a court and prove that she was healthy enough to, you know, go free, whatever that means, you know, like not have the ankle bracelet, not be watched 24/7. And it's like, to imagine that all of that was going on and she's like brave enough to open up about that now, that is a lot. That is heavy. That is a lot. That is, oh boy, you know what I mean? All right, let's go on.
And I was truly in denial. I think it was hard for me too at the time because of how medicated I had to be. After the 72 hours of the detainment that I was under, I had to stand before a judge.
Here we go.
And they like had an attorney for me, I remember. And I basically had to show that I wasn't in a wild state. I wasn't manic. It was kind of the deciding factor whether I was going to stay there longer or leave. And obviously at that point, I'm like trying to do anything and everything in my power to get out of there. And the hardest part is they called my sister. My sister had to basically listen as they decided that I had to stay there longer. And I'm like not getting emotional about it because I don't feel like it was right that I was there. It's just a really hard experience to relive, you know? Altogether, I was detained for about 8 days, and
wow.
The things that I experienced, I'm really not going to go into detail about. Once I was released, I immediately went back home to LA, and I've been working on my mental health for a while now.
It's good to hear.
It's important for everyone to work on their mental health as much as anything else, you know? I think it's one of the most important things that is extremely overlooked. I just think it's an experience that is going to take me a while to fully kind of comprehend and understand, but regardless of how I feel about it or my opinion, I am glad and I'm just happy that I'm safe and that I learned from the experience, at least, you know. When I got back to LA, I started to go through my depressive phase. And when you're depressed, it just feels like your whole life is over and you don't want to get out of bed and you don't feel like yourself. You can't just tell yourself to be happy, and it affects everything.
This is such an important conversation to have.
Like a cloud that hangs over you.
I never thought Nikita Dragun would be the one having this.
You know, like gender dysphoria and all these other things and whatever. I was getting into a really bad and dark time. There were just days that I didn't know if I could go on anymore, you know. I feel so guilty even having these thoughts, let alone expressing them, but it was something that I was going through, and I'm still going through, and I'm still kind of battling every day. And mind you, I know the topic of medication is going to come into play in all of this, and I think that's an important part of taking control of your mental health, and I think everyone has the right to do whatever they want. But personally, I have always been conflicted about medications, and I'll be honest about that. And especially being newly diagnosed as bipolar or kind of going through all these things, I was scared to be medicated, you know, and I was scared to try all these different things. And when you're trying medications, it's like something works and something doesn't work and this and that. It's like a whole new can of worms that you open up. And there were times that I'd be on medications that just didn't work with me. I think the frustrating part is like kind of going through those tests and doing all that work, but it is important. And I've been speaking to a psychiatrist. And
I also think having a healthy conversation about medication is so important, that sometimes getting diagnosed and being put on medication and it not working because it's not the right fit for you, you know, you have to try different ones, and whenever you hit the one that works for you, I think it's important to have that conversation as well about that. If you're put on medication and it doesn't work for you, don't feel defeated, because there are so many other ones out there. You know, this is just the specific one that, you know, doesn't work for you. You know, just because you have this diagnosis doesn't mean that because this medication's for that, it'll work for you. Maybe this will work for you, and not to feel defeated about that. And, you know, being nervous about medication, I think this is just such a great conversation to be having overall. All right, this is the end of the video now.
Everything happened. I was already looking towards medication, and you know, medication's not new to me, especially being trans. It's not something that I run away from, but I just don't want to be that girl that's just like popping all these damn pills and doesn't know what I'm doing. Like, I really want to know what's going into my body and how it affects me, because it really does affect every part of your being. Where I'm at now, I'm in such a better place.
It's great to hear.
But I'm not gonna lie, there are days that I do struggle. It's so important to allow yourself to have time to heal and to grow and to focus on your mental health. You know, there's been so many nights I've cried myself to sleep, not knowing who I am anymore. There's been times where I felt so broken. The only thing that I could say to not only you, but myself as well, is there are so many people that love you, and you have so much life to live. Don't give up on yourself. I don't know what happens next from here, but I just want to say that I've really been so fortunate, and I just want to say I'm so grateful that you guys have supported me through all of this, even unknowingly. I am reconnecting with my family and my friends and just people in my life, and it just means so much, especially at this time, because sometimes it can just feel so lonely when you go through stuff like this. And again, I'm trying to not feel embarrassed or ashamed about these things, because I don't think anyone should have to be. I'm gonna make a promise to try to build myself to be a better person. I love you guys so much, and thank you so much for watching.
Okay, again, I wasn't gonna film on this, but just after reading a lot of the responses that were so making fun of her and making fun of, oh, well, this makes sense on why you did this, is that why you're also doing this? It just like, I was like, no, I want to film on this, because I feel so strongly about, I watched her video and I was like, this is great. Like, start to finish, I think it's great. I think it's a great conversation to have. I don't care who's having it. I think it's a great conversation to have. Monkers, I want to know your take on this. I really want to know your opinion. We can talk about it below. And again, if you love Nikita Dragun, you know, you can have an opinion on this. If you don't like Nikita Dragun, if you're impartial, if you hate Nikita Dragun, you can have a conversation about this. you know, without focusing it on other things that she's done. Again, we had that conversation at the start of the video. That is just how I feel about this, and I really feel strongly about that. I just think any conversation about mental health is so important, so great, especially when you have such a reach about this. She focused on many different things, about being detained, the medication. I just thought this video was incredible. I really did, and I hear Gomez wants to be fed, so I will end off this video. But I just wish her all the best. I really do, and I hope that this new step in her life is a great one for her, and I'm sending her all my love. But I want to know your opinion on this. I love you. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to go feed Gomez now because I know that meow is a feed me meow. Okay, I love you. Bye.